All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome back. Huge congrats on crushing that Core Hunter education course.
Yeah, that's a big accomplishment.
It is. And, we're all about going deep on these topics.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to help you navigate those next steps, getting your Fish and Wildlife ID, that's your FWID, and your hunting license.
Right here in BC.
Exactly. You've already put in the work to learn the ropes, so...
This is like leveling up.
Exactly. Consider this your guide to unlocking that next level, right?
Yeah.
And don't worry, we've got your back. We've got some awesome step-by-step guides and resources all lined up so you can be confident you're getting the full picture.
Yeah, we've got some great sources lined up for this one.
We do.
And what's really cool about this whole process is that it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's not as intimidating as it might seem.
Exactly. Like it can seem a little intimidating at first glance, but we're going to break it down for you.
We are.
So you know exactly what to expect every step of the way.
All right, so let's jump right in. First things first, you've aced those core exams, both written and practical. So what happens next?
Okay, so right after you've, shown off all that hunting knowledge and you've passed the exams, your examiner's going to hand over this really important document called the registration form.
Oh, yeah.
And,
This is important.
yeah, think of it like your golden ticket. Guard this thing with your life.
It's like Willy Wonka.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
really is the key to this whole process.
Okay, so keep that registration form safe and sound.
Yeah, tuck it away.
What's the next step on this hunting license adventure?
All right, so this is where the BC Wildlife Federation, the BCWF, comes into play.
Okay.
It's time to get your hands on that official core graduation certificate, and to do that,
Okay.
you're going to need to send or drop off that signed registration form at their office,
Okay.
and they're going to handle the whole processing thing, issuing that certificate, basically verifying that you've officially conquered the core program.
Okay, sounds simple enough.
It is pretty straightforward.
But, I'm guessing there's a fee involved somewhere. Nothing in life is truly free, right?
Yeah, you got that right. There is a processing fee for the certificate,
Okay.
but it's not bad. It's a reasonable $30 payable to the BCWF.
$30. Not bad at all.
And here's a little pro tip for those who prefer to hand deliver their form. The BCWF office is actually located in Surrey.
Okay.
And if you drop it off in person, you might be able to walk out of there with that certificate right then and there.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Talk about instant gratification.
No waiting for the mail.
Exactly.
Love it. But let's say I'm old school and I opt to mail it in.
Okay, yeah.
What happens then? Once the BCWF has worked their magic?
Once they've got it, they're going to mail that precious core graduation certificate straight to your mailbox.
Right to my door.
Right to your door.
Boy.
And this is where things get really exciting.
Okay.
Because that graduation certificate, that's your ticket to getting your FWID.
Okay, so we've got our core certificate. We're leveling up in the video game.
Exactly, moving on to the next level.
How do we actually get our hands on this FWID?
So now it's time for a little field trip, either to a Service BC or Front Counter BC location.
Okay.
You'll need to bring your core graduation certificate, of course.
Of course.
And just be prepared to show proof of residency and age.
Makes sense.
Just confirming you're officially part of the BC hunting community.
Okay, sure, right.
Exactly. And the best part? Getting your FWID is absolutely free.
Free. All right, this process is looking better and better.
I know, right?
Our sources mention a couple of specific locations just to give folks an idea of where to head.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that?
Well, you can find Service BC and Front Counter BC locations all over the province.
Right.
But like the BCWF, sometimes going in person can speed things up, and you might just be able to walk out of there with your FWID in hand, ready for that next step.
I love the efficiency. So, okay, we've got the core course conquered, snagged our graduation certificate, secured that all-important FWID. What's the final hurdle to clear before we can head out into the wilderness?
It's the moment you've been waiting for. It's time to buy that hunting license.
This is what it's all about.
This is where all your hard work pays off.
Okay, let's break this down. Where can you actually purchase a hunting license here in BC? I'm guessing it's not like popping into the corner store?
You're right about that.
Okay, good.
It's a bit more specialized, but still super convenient.
Okay.
You can find them at sporting goods stores, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But also at select service BC centers and even some general retail outlets.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And to make things even easier, you can actually find a complete list of vendors online.
Awesome. That's super helpful.
No more guessing games.
So I'm picturing this right. I'm strolling into the store, FWID in hand,
Yeah.
feeling like a hunter extraordinaire.
You've earned it.
What else do I need to make this purchase official?
Besides that well-earned FWID, you'll also need a valid photo ID just to confirm it's really you.
Makes sense.
Standard procedure.
Okay, and with that,
You are officially a licensed hunter in beautiful British Columbia.
talk about a feeling of accomplishment.
Right.
We've officially covered all 4 steps to getting your license, from that initial registration form all the way to holding your hunting license in your hand.
It's quite a journey.
But before you rush off to buy that license,
Yeah, hold on just a second. Before you do that, make sure you've brushed up on those specific regulations for the species you want to hunt.
Right.
Things like bag limits, hunting zones,
yeah,
all that good stuff. It's about being a responsible hunter from the get-go.
that's a really important point. Knowing the rules of the game,
Oh, absolutely.
it's just as important as getting the license itself.
It really is. It's all about making sure that everyone out in the field has that solid foundation in safety and responsibility,
Right.
protecting ourselves, other hunters,
The wildlife.
the wildlife, exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, but stick with us, all right? We'll be back in just a bit to dive even deeper into some extra tips and tricks to make sure your hunting adventures are not only successful, but also responsible and ethical. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. All right, we'll see you in just a sec.
See ya.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of hunting licenses here in BC. Before the break, we walked you through those 4 essential steps.
Yeah.
Getting your FWID and hunting license.
The essentials.
But now let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Talk about how to make sure those hunting adventures are not only successful,
Right.
but also ethical,
Yeah.
responsible.
Huge. Getting those permits, that's just the first step, right? Being a responsible hunter means, understanding the rules,
Right.
respecting them, putting safety first,
Yeah.
really contributing to conservation efforts.
It's bigger than just bringing home a trophy.
It's about so much
Right.
more than that.
Exactly. So what does that look like in practice? Where do we even begin?
Well, one crucial thing is to really familiarize yourself with those specific regulations.
Okay.
For the species you're interested in hunting and the area you'll be hunting in.
Yeah.
Things like hunting seasons, bag limits,
Yeah.
equipment restrictions, those can all vary.
Okay.
Staying informed is absolutely essential.
So you're saying knowing the rules of the game just as crucial as getting the license itself.
Absolutely.
So where can I find all this information? Is it buried in some massive government document?
No, not at all. It's actually all laid out in the BC Hunting and Trapping Regulations synopsis.
Okay.
And you can easily grab a copy online.
Perfect.
And it outlines everything you need to know. Seasons, bag limits, equipment restrictions, the works.
It's like the hunter's handbook.
Exactly. Think of it as your hunter's Bible.
Got it. Okay. The BC Hunting and Trapping Regulations synopsis, our new best friend.
There you go.
Speaking of hunting essentials, we touched on the Canadian Firearms Safety Course earlier. Is that a must-have for hunting in BC?
Well, while it's not mandatory for hunting here in BC, it's something I highly recommend.
Okay.
It really dives deep into firearms safety, handling, storage,
All important stuff.
all super important skills for any responsible hunter. And, safety always comes first,
Couldn't agree more.
both for yourself and everyone else out there in the field.
For sure. Now let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
Talk about those core exams.
All right.
We know there's the written exam and a practical firearms handling exam.
Right.
What can new hunters expect when they're facing these evaluations? Any tips, any insights?
Absolutely. So the written exam, you're looking at 75 multiple choice questions,
Okay.
all based on what you learned in the online core course.
Right.
And the BC Hunting and Trapping Regulations synopsis.
Okay.
You'll need at least 56 out of 75 to pass.
Okay.
But the good news is...
Okay, there's good news.
There is good news. You're allowed to use the synopsis as a reference.
Oh, so it's like an open book test.
Exactly. So, don't stress too much about memorizing every single detail.
I like it. That takes the pressure off.
For sure.
What about the practical exam? What kind of skills are they looking for there?
So the practical exam, it's all about proving you can handle firearms safely and confidently.
Okay.
So you'll be assessed on things like handling different firearm action types,
Okay.
identifying ammunition, and loading and unloading firearms safely, of course.
Right, right.
The passing score for that is 23 out of 30.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty thorough.
Sounds comprehensive. It really emphasizes those core safety principles.
It really does.
Now, what if somebody's already completed that CFSC?
Okay. Yeah.
Do they still need to go through that practical exam?
That's a great question. This is where the CFSC comes in really handy. If you've already passed the CFSC, you can actually skip the core practical exam altogether.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, just show your CFSC report to the examiner and you're good to go.
That's a nice perk.
It's a great perk for those who already have that solid foundation in firearm safety.
Okay, that makes total sense. So it's about making sure everyone out there has that baseline knowledge, right?
Exactly.
We've talked about the exams, the regulations, the safety courses, and even ethical considerations.
Yeah.
But what about the money? Are there any extra costs associated with the core program besides that certificate processing fee?
Oh, yeah, good point. Got to be practical.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are a couple additional fees to keep in mind.
Okay.
The written exam will cost you $30.
All right.
And the practical exam also has a $30 fee.
Right.
And you'll pay those directly to the core examiner when you take the exams.
Perfect. Good to know.
Yeah, you get a budget for that.
Exactly. So once someone's successfully completed the core program, received their graduation certificate,
Yeah.
what's the next move? How do they actually go about getting that FWID?
It's super straightforward. Once you have that graduation certificate, head over to a front counter DC location or a service PC center and apply for your FWID. They'll verify your identity and residency,
Okay.
and then boom, you'll be issued your FWID free of charge.
And just to be clear, the FWID, that's what you need to actually purchase your hunting license.
That's right. It's like your official hunting ID card.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From exam details and fees to the importance of safety and responsible hunting.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
It has been. Before we move on, what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember as they embark on this hunting journey? What's the golden rule?
If I had to boil it all down to one essential message,
Okay.
it would be this. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to hunting.
Okay.
Take the time to really understand those regulations,
Yeah.
make safety your top priority, and always, always strive to be a responsible and ethical hunter.
That's a good one.
By doing so, you'll not only have a more successful and enjoyable hunting experience,
Right.
but you'll also help ensure that future generations can continue to enjoy this incredible experience.
That's such a good point.
Mm.
It's about respecting the sport,
Absolutely.
the wildlife, the
Yeah,
environment.
it all ties together.
Absolutely. All right, we've covered a ton of info in this part of our deep dive into hunting licenses in BC.
A lot of good stuff.
Stick with us for the final part where we'll explore some additional resources and answer some frequently asked questions that might be swirling around in your mind.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We've taken this incredible journey
It has been a journey.
through all the steps to get your FWID and your hunting license here in BC.
All those important steps.
And we even touched on those responsible hunting practices, which is huge.
Yeah, absolutely crucial.
But, you know, even with all the info we've thrown at you, I know there can still be some lingering questions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It can feel like a bit of a maze out there, even with all those great resources we've talked about.
Yeah, even seasoned hunters sometimes, they're like, wait a minute, what about this?
Exactly. So where should someone go if they need some clarification or just want to double check something? Where do they go for help?
Well, remember the BC Wildlife Federation we talked about earlier?
The BCWF?
Yep, the BCWF. They're an amazing resource.
Okay.
Their website is like a hunting encyclopedia.
I love it.
And they even have a dedicated phone line to answer any questions you might have.
Awesome. That's super helpful.
So yeah, definitely reach out to them.
And what about finding a core examiner? We know they're kind of a big part of this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely essential.
Where can folks track them down?
The BCWF website strikes again.
It's a gold mine.
I know, right? They have a directory of core examiners listed by region.
Okay.
So you can easily find one near you.
Perfect. All right.
Super convenient.
You've got your study materials. You found your examiner. Let's fast forward a bit to the exams themselves.
All right.
We talked about what to expect, but what happens if someone doesn't pass on their first try? It happens, right?
Oh, it totally happens. Don't worry, it's not the end of the world if you don't ace either the written or the practical exam right away.
Okay.
You can absolutely retake it later,
Okay.
but you will have to pay that exam fee again for each retake.
Makes sense.
So,
Studying up.
yeah, studying up definitely pays off.
Definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. This might seem like kind of a silly question, but I bet it's on everyone's mind.
Yeah, what is it?
When can I actually start hunting once I have that license in my hand?
That's a great question, and that's where those hunting regulations we talked about come into play big time.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember our good friend, the BC Hunting and Trapping Regulations synopsis?
Our Bible.
Exactly, that's the one. It lays out all the specific hunting seasons
Okay.
for different species, and it's super important to check the dates for the animals you want to hunt,
Right, right.
and only hunt during those designated seasons.
Because I'm assuming hunting outside of those seasons, not a good thing.
Yeah, that's illegal, and it definitely goes against all those ethical hunting practices
Right.
we've been
Sorry.
talking about.
Okay, and while we're on the topic of regulations, can we talk about bag limits for a sec? What are those all about?
Yeah, bag limits are all about ensuring that hunting is sustainable,
Okay.
in the long run. They tell you the maximum number of animals of a particular species
Right.
you can harvest during a specific period.
Oh, okay.
And once again, you guessed it, the BC Hunting and Trapping Regulations synopsis.
It's got everything.
It has all the details, yeah.
It's the one-stop shop.
It really is your go-to guide for everything you need to know as a hunter in BC.
Always keep it handy.
Yeah, keep it close.
Okay, so before we officially wrap up this deep dive, any other pearls of wisdom for our listeners?
Sure.
What's that big takeaway you want them to walk away with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that hunting here in BC, it's a privilege.
Yep.
It's not a right. And it's our responsibility to treat it that way by
Right.
following those regulations, using ethical hunting methods,
Right.
and showing respect for the wildlife and their habitats.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
If we all do our part, we can ensure that, generations to come will be able to enjoy this amazing experience.
Absolutely. Well said. We've covered so much ground today, from those first steps to get your license
That's all we have.
all the way to the importance of those ethical hunting practices.
It's been a good one.
It has been. So hopefully you're feeling more informed, more ready to embark on your own hunting adventures here in beautiful BC.
I hope so.
And remember,
Yeah,
learning is a lifelong journey,
it really is.
especially when it comes to hunting. So embrace every opportunity to expand your knowledge,
Absolutely.
sharpen those skills, contribute to the conservation of our wildlife.
Yeah, keep learning, keep growing.
Couldn't agree more. And with that, we're wrapping up this deep dive into the world of hunting licenses in BC. We hope you found it valuable and insightful. Happy hunting, everyone, and stay safe out there.
Happy hunting.